So welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm going to take off my mask since I'm standing up here, and Bob's going to do the same, present so that everyone can hear him. I'm Terry Emma. I'm the director here at the museum. It's wonderful to see people again. This is our first in-person program since March of 2020. And right after we did that program, we closed down for 16 months. And it's been a rough go, but we also did a lot of positive things while we were closed. So I want to invite you, if you have not been back to our gallery, Geneva Story, we did some updates. We added some more things. We also added a story booth where you could hop in and record your Geneva story. We've had some great things added to it that we didn't know about, that people share their first date here, where they used to work, all kinds of fun stories. So I invite you to check that out today. And we are also offering free admission for at least the remainder of the year. And actually we're doing a test. We're seeing such a positive feedback from the community being free that we may continue to do so, because we'd rather people to come in and take a look than charge $3 for someone to say, no, I don't want to come in. So we're going to continue that for now, and we'll keep updating you. I did put annual calendars on your table. I was still printing out more, so we'll bring some more out at the end of the program. We were hesitant to mail it out this year because we just didn't know what we were going to be able to do. But we do have a great list of programs coming up. Our barbecue is this Thursday, so please don't mind the mess behind us. We have over 154 dinner orders. People ordered curbside pickup, so they're going to pull up here, they're going to get their barbecues, they're going to go home, connect with us via Zoom, and I am going to share all what the museum has done and some other fun stories, along with Scott McKay from 95.9 The River. He comes every year and MCs with us. But next year, we hope to have it in the parking or the spot next to us here in a tent like we usually do. But if you'd like to register for the free Zoom link, the dinner orders are done, but you could still join us Thursday night for some fun. And I promise you'll have a good time, about 35 minutes. We don't want to Zoom you to death, but we're going to have a good time. We also have our next program is in October, and Heidi, our educator who's sitting back there, is going to share another restoration effort going on in Geneva that we are doing on West Side Cemetery. So the cemetery right at the end of 3rd Street here. Heidi does cemetery tours, and we noticed over the years that we were kind of embarrassed to see some of our founding fathers and mothers' graves being, falling down or being illegible. And some of them were had fallen down so long ago, grass had covered them up. So Heidi has led an effort. She took a class down in Southern Illinois and learned how to do this the right way. So on Saturdays, while you guys are doing the grotto, we are over at the cemetery on most Saturdays, and we are using our grit and grime, and we are getting those cemetery tombstones repositioned, cleaned, and it's really a fun project. I've been out there a couple times, the times I'm able to go, and it's really awesome. So Heidi will share that story with you in October. And then she also will do cemetery walks again this year because we'll be outside. So she does West Side and also Oak Hill on Route 25. And it's not scary. She shares stories about exactly what we're doing out there, and also stories of some of the meanings on the tombstones and some of our early settlers. So it's really interesting program. And then we also do ghost walks, and those are scary. And that's on the Saturday before Halloween. We do a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, and an 8. And I encourage you, if you want to attend, register early because they always book up. We can only have maximum, I think, of 30 because that's all we have for. You get like a little hearing device. So you hear us as we walk the streets. It's about 45 minutes. And I grew up here, and I'm 3rd generation, and I still learn new stuff all the time. So I guarantee you will learn something. So again, today after the program, I invite you to visit the museum. I am going to turn the program over to our guests today. We have Patrick Murtaugh, who's here, and they gave me a little bio I'd like to read. Patrick grew up on the south side of Chicago in the tiny borough of Riverdale and attended Mount Carmel High School. Patrick picked up his knack for making broken things work again from his father, William, who was a machinist. He enjoys repairing and restoring things, especially those of historic value. So we'll get along really well, Patrick. Patrick and his wife, Anne, who I know well, will be celebrating 37 years this October. They have 3 grown children, Mary, Emily, and Liam, and they raised them here on the border of Geneva and Batavia. They're parishioners at Holy Cross, but actually live in the Geneva School District. Their youngest is finishing up his degree in biomedical engineering at NIU. Patrick has worked in IT for over 35 years in both large and small companies and in many different capacities. Patrick joined the Knights of Columbus in 2004 and was elected Grand Knight of Council 2191, I'm sorry, in 2009. I'm thinking that's a year, but I get what you're saying. Serving 2 terms and also as trustee thereafter. He is now the current chairman of the Geneva Township Republican Central Committee. You're not busy or anything. No. Bob McQuillan here, who I know, Bob was born and raised in the Philadelphia area and has a BS and MBA from St. Joseph's University, Philadelphia. Bob met his wife Karen in college, and they just celebrated their 41st anniversary. They've been residents of Geneva and Batavia since 1997. Their 3 grown children, Tom, Andrew, and Carolyn, are graduates of Geneva High School and Purdue, Loyola, and Illinois State Universities, respectively. All 3 are married, and they have been blessed with 3 grandchildren, with a 4th due in December. Yay. Karen has been the director of religious education at Holy Cross Parish in Batavia for 17 years. Bob retired 5 years ago from a 37-plus year career in sales and sales management positions in the consumer packaged goods industry. Bob has run for Illinois State Representative, Geneva School Board, Geneva Mayor, amassing a perfect 0-3 record. I didn't write this. He has kept busy in retirement by talking to their dog, Molly, substitute teaching, and hanging out at the Grotto. He's currently working part-time at Eagle Brook Country Club until the end of the golf season. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick and Bob and enjoy the program. We are also doing this via Zoom. So at the end of the program, we're going to share a screen. At the end, we're going to allow comments, and I may have questions from those attending via Zoom. I haven't looked. I hope they can all hear me. So bear with us as we dive into the new future. So Bob, I'm going to share your screen. Okay. I think we're good to go. I was going to move you up. Okay. You're going to be okay. And then you're going to use these. Are you presenting first, Patrick?
No, he's just going to speak.
Okay.
Patrick's
All right.
just speak.
Yep. Do you want to come up here so people on Zoom can, well, I already shared screen. They'll be able to hear you.
All right. Very good. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. First, I'd actually like our current Grand Knight, Bob, to come up and give you a little rundown on our council and the Knights of Columbus in general, so you have an idea about our organization. Who here is familiar with the Knights of Columbus? All right, just good. Bob, only got 2, so
Okay.
give it a good.
Hi and welcome. We thank Terry for hosting us today. This is a great opportunity for us as the Knights of Columbus to work on the Grotto and to be able to share what's been going on and how we play a part in Grotto restoration. Again, my name is Bob Herrera. I'm the current council 2191 Grand Knight, which in other words means the guy that does most of the stuff. And that position is for 2 years. During my tenure, Patrick and Bob have come up to us and said, hey, let's work on this grotto that's located behind the government center. And I know all about the grotto. I'm a Genevan from way back. My family moved here in 1963. So I'm very familiar with the grotto. And it's quite the place to be. It's very peaceful. It's heartwarming. And unfortunately, it has fallen into the bad times. I mean, that's just as plain as we can put it. Graffiti, overgrowth, years and years of nobody taking care of it. And when these guys said, let's do something, it was just appropriate that the Knights of Columbus, a Catholic organization that works with our organization, our council is from St. Peter's here in Geneva and Holy Cross in Batavia, that we step in and help with this project. So working with the Kane County Government Center and the Forest Preserve, we are putting together an agreement so that we can do the maintenance on that facility from here going forward. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for coming out, and I appreciate Bob and Patrick for all that they've done to try to get it to this point. And we'll enjoy this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. So I just want to give you a little idea of how this all got started. So back in late October of 2014, a friend of mine called me up really early in the morning. It was like 5:30, and got up at Saturday morning, and he says, "Pat, meet me for breakfast." I said, "Okay, Tim, I'll be glad." His name's Tim Cooper. He's with the St. Charles Knights of Columbus. So I met him for breakfast at the Colonial, and he said, after breakfast, he said, "Come follow me. We got to go here." So I drove back to the back of the government center, and then we got out of the car, and he's going into the back of the woods, and I think, "Tim, did I say something wrong at breakfast?" And as we walked along this narrow path and came around the corner, there's this beautiful grotto, but it was completely whitewashed. They had whitewashed everything. The crosses, everything was completely whitewashed. And he said to me, "Pat, we've got to do something about this." And so that was 2014. But my first instinct was to keep it quiet, to say, "Oh, because maybe as people found out about it, we got more people to do more graffiti, more damage." And so we really, for quite a while, our wheels were turning on how could we protect it, how could we get it together to fix it. And it wasn't really until 2017 that we came up with the idea of having a contract with the Forest Preserve, like the Japanese tea garden. So I asked Monica, I said, "Monica, could you shoot me a copy of something that we can work on together? I'll propose it to our Knights of Columbus Council and work with the officers, and then we'll get something hammered out." So it took a while, but our partners at the Forest Preserve stuck with us, and we worked it out. And I'm very proud to say today, this morning at the meeting, that contract was finally completely negotiated and signed. So it's really a historic day for us, and it's very fitting that we're doing this today. So I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Let's see. So really, after we signed that contract, or we started the contract in 2017, the biggest catalyst for starting this was when President Trump signed the Great American Outdoors Act. And when I saw that press conference where he did that, it really just lit a fire. And I sent out an email to about 20 very influential here in county board members, and I begged them for help getting this project started. And a lot of them stepped forward, and because of their efforts and courage to do this, that's what saw this through. So I have a lot of thanks to all of them, and especially Bob here, because I'm really missing on a lot of other things. Bob is doing everything. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Bob. Bob?
Okay. Good morning, and thanks for coming and also watching online. Patrick and I are excited to share with you what is happening at the Grotto, as well as exposing many people to it the first time. Our hope is that the Grotto will become a gathering place for many community members, and that one that you can find as a quiet place where you can reflect and find peace. There are several people that I would be amiss in not thanking, starting with Terry and the Geneva History Museum for providing this opportunity to share our story. Also to the 938 members on our Facebook page. And that Facebook page is called Geneva Grotto. And you're welcome to join and follow our progress. They have kept us going by their comments and their words of encouragement. Also to the Kane County Forest Preserve that just this morning, as Patrick said, unanimously approved an amended maintenance agreement with the Knights of Columbus, and honored to have their executive director, Monica Myers, in attendance today. Also, special thanks to Christine and Tom Almete, who have been at the Grotto cleaning graffiti more than Patrick and I. Also to Valerie Young Taylor and her daughter, who are willing to do anything to help restore the Grotto. Also to our special guests, Ken Weisbrook, I believe Ken is here. Maybe he didn't be able to make it. He was a member of the last graduating class, and also Father Kennedy. He was both a student and a recruiter at the seminary. To our wives, Anne and Karen, who didn't think we were crazy to restore a rundown graffiti-filled shrine. They might think we're crazy in other ways, but not about the grotto. And finally, to my partner, Patrick. Sometimes I think we're Laurel and Hardy, two very different people who have worked well together for one common purpose. So, okay, now on to the story of the Sacred Heart Seminary and its grotto. This is a very casual presentation, and I welcome comments and questions throughout our story. We're calling this the hidden gem because I lived in Geneva from 1997 to about 2017 and never knew it was there. And many people that live in the Fox Valley aren't aware of it, but it's funny, most high school kids were aware of it. Here we go. Beauty in the Woods. This picture was taken around 1940, and you can see there's 4 different panels. There's one on the far left-hand side. There's a middle one, or a side one on the left-hand side. There's the center altar with a figure of Jesus at the top. That's no longer there. There is another panel on the inside and then panel on the outside. This is an old picture of actually the seminarians having a service at the grotto. The grotto itself was built around 1936 by a German priest, and he used stones from the Mississippi and also local rivers and streams. It is located in the woods behind the Sacred Heart Minor Seminary in Geneva, which is now the Kane County Government Center. The seminary enrolled about 150 students at its peak. It was a high school, and it began in 1925, the school actually in 1926. In 1925, the land was purchased from a prominent Geneva businessman, Charles Pope, who owned the yellow house that's still there. He was quite the partier from what I've read, because a lot of the social events in Geneva were held at his home at the time. And there's also a walking path leading from the seminary to the grotto. And the path at that time included the Stations of the Cross. It really has been destroyed by graffiti over the last 15 years. There's not too bad of a picture of it, but here's the bad picture. And there are many pictures like this. The left-hand side of the panel has come back to life. And that's what it looks like today. And here's a rebirth of another panel. And this is the inside left panel. What it looked like at one time. And as we cleaned it up, here it is today, almost completely clean. This is the altar at one time. Here it is today. We still need some major restoration on the right inside panel, which is the first picture you see. And then in the middle section above the altar is the dome. And you can see that there's a gaping hole there that we have to fix. And on the first picture, we've already started to put some insulation there. A local artist, Joe Camioni, believes that he can restore it to its original glory with the stone, the colored stone and everything. The first picture, that is actually a chalice. here's where we began, actually. These are some of the work days. Monica might not want to see this because we had some gas-powered equipment out there. But these are some actually high school kids that helped plant some plants out there. But these four guys, a good story behind this one. They just happened to be walking through the woods and we were working. And Ann grabbed them and said, here's some brushes, boys. And they spent about 45 minutes there. And they also scrubbed and power washed, and they had a great time. There's a pathway there. It's a flagstone path. Just by clearing some of the grass and things off, we increased it by a foot, about 6 inches on each side. And there we are, tilling the soil. These are also a couple of things that we've done. We took logs that were cut down from trees right around the grotto, and a carver in Elbert we found did 2 of the logs. On the first one, I guess on your left-hand side, is the Star of Bethlehem. And on the right-hand side is actually the face of Christ with the thorns. And in the middle, we had a couple of signs. The first one says, pray, don't spray. And I'll be happy to admit that since April, when we started the restoration, there has not been one instance where there's been any graffiti. So the kids are actually really respecting it. And then the other one is a sign that says the grotto is under restoration, and please join us on our Facebook page. This is actually an event that just happened recently. They were actually saying the Divine Mercy Chapel at 3 o'clock during the week, and that was done with Father James Parker. And it looks like he had a group of probably 30 to 40 people there. We've also had a person who is interested in doing sound healing. And she's been doing it probably 5 different times. And she has a group that comes, and she asks for a donation. And over the last 4 months, they've donated about $750 to the restoration effort. So we thank them. You know, what does the grotto mean to people? It means different things to different people. It's a public space right now, publicly owned by the Forest Preserve. It is not a religious shrine anymore, though it was in the past. So the first picture just happened on Saturday. One of our members that happened to be there and ran into a group that was doing some pre-wedding photos. I was there one day, and I think it was a heavy metal band. They took pictures around the grotto. A couple of guys got up there at the peak, and I guess they were doing it for their album or just for their band's photos. And then this one here on the right-hand side just hit our Facebook page yesterday. And one of the fellows posted it because they were classmates in 1969 at the grotto. And one of them just passed away recently. And this is a picture from about 10 years ago. And he wanted to honor him. And as you can see, I'll read it for the people that might not be able to see it. You make me feel like I'm more than a friend, like I'm the journey and you're the journey's end. I may never pass this way again. That's why I wanted to be with you. And this is our whole theme. We want to set this grotto up where people can just come, talk, reflect if they want to. We've put some, again, long logs, made them into some seating. We want to do more of that. It will be open to any community member that wants to do something there. Now, we'll hopefully find out what they're doing first and get it approved from the Forest Preserve. But this is exactly what we want to happen. Now, this is a close-up view of all 4 of the sections. And this is a very recent photo. So just starting from the left to the right, that's actually how it looks. Of course, in the middle is the old altar. and then the two inside panels, which you really couldn't see in the other photos, and then the two end panels. And I'm going to help either my wife, I'm going to ask my wife or Patrick to tell me what the Latin sayings are. Oh, yeah, Father Kennedy.
Well, I know the one on the right says, I am the light of the world.
That's right.
The one on the left.
I believe that says, come to cast fire.
Is that what the first word is? Ignium?
Okay, I come to pass fire, and the other one is, I am the light of the world. This is a beautiful picture that Terry just sent me a couple of weeks ago. This was taken in 1988 on a nice snowy day here in Geneva. And I guess the deer weren't out because there's no foot tracks, but we have seen deer.
Camera catches.
This is a little dark, but this was just taken yesterday. And if you can see on the altar, people have been leaving different mementos to people that have passed away, friends. They've left holy cards. One person has almost written up a little story about one of their family members. It is on its way to a new life. This was built in 1936. And like Bob and Patrick had alluded to, and you had seen today, it was graffiti covered. It is no longer graffiti covered. We do have a camera out there and we can see the activity. And like I said, the kids now are hanging out there. They're not doing the things that they used to do.
If I might add, some of them can actually thank us for cleaning it up.
Yeah.
When we see them, they say, thank you for cleaning this up. A lot of it's only bad kids give most of our kids here in this. There's just a few of the bad and good kids really bad.
On your tables, I've left some sheets, just some history about the seminary, when it was purchased, when the new building went in 1972, it was sold to the King County and became the government center. So the highlighted yellow things I was going to read through, but let's get to some questions and comments more than anything else. And then this wouldn't be a, I guess, I don't want to say Catholic presentation, but it wouldn't be a Catholic presentation if I didn't ask you for donations. So we do have a way there for you to donate through the Knights of Columbus.
Will there be a 50-50 raffle?
No 50-50 raffle and no tickets for a car, but no, you can buy tickets to our car raffle. I'll really throw it out to there. I joined the Knights a year ago, almost about this time. And I was really hesitant to join. And our former Grand Knight, Patrick, and I met for breakfast about the Grotto. And his first question was, are you a Knight? And I said, no. And he said, why not? And I really didn't have an answer. He said, wait a minute. And he went to his car and got an application form. So, you know, get on our website. It's very easy. kc2191.org. And you'll see some information. We're going to be selling Tootsie Rolls this weekend, right? Or next week, following it, for the disability, intellectual disability. So at this point, I'd love to open it up to questions and any comments you might have on the Grotto itself or background on the seminary. We have Ken and Father Kennedy that can answer almost any question you can come up with.
We get bluff.
Oh yeah, they'll bluff. Well, nobody knows except those two. So do we have any questions? Yes, right here.
No, just a comment. You know, I was interested in attending today because 1987, I started at the Regional Office of Education, which was in Building C, behind the Government Center. And I went downtown and I don't know, got a sandwich, and I was walking around at lunchtime and I discovered the Grotto back there. So that was my place from time to time to take my lunch and go over there and sit down. And it was so peaceful. Nobody was there. and have lunch there. And so, like over the next 12 years, if I had a visitor from out of town or something like that, I'd say, hey, let's take a walk. And that was my favorite thing to do, was take them back there and show them that peaceful place back there and so forth. And I said, people don't even know it's here.
Yep.
And so it just brought back a lot of great memories to me for those 12 years that I was here. A peaceful place to go and have lunch.
Yeah. Yep.
So I told my wife, I said, we gotta go and see what a little bit.
Yeah, and just
Thank
to,
you.
you're welcome. To comment on that, we've all, whenever we've worked there, and we've been working a lot of the Saturday mornings, it is amazing the people that you meet that have either never seen the grotto or knew it was there. And I met one woman who didn't realize that it was graffiti and came up, and she was almost in tears because her husband did attend the seminary there, and he had passed away. And I don't think she even knew it was there, actually, that her family was walking through in the night. We've seen kids, teenage kids that come up. We've families. We get about 35 people on a daily basis that we can see through our camera when we look at the photos. And on the weekends, we get about 100 people a day. And on Mother's Day, we made a special invitation. And I would say we had 150 to 200 families walk. So,
A lot of couples.
yeah. And if you don't know where it is here or online, it is directly behind the Kane County Government Center at Route 31 and 3rd Street. You go into the entrance, bear to the left, and go all the way to the back parking lot. Then make a right, and there's a turnaround. I call it a circle with a tree in the middle of it. Park in that circle, and there's yellow arrows that you can find. There's two. It's not far into the woods, but you would not see it, especially in the summer when it leaves.
There is a pin on Google Maps. So look for it. Say, Google, where's the Geneva Grotto?
I know, Monica, you had a question.
Yeah, what do you guys do with the artifacts that are left?
We've been leaving them there.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what we'll do in the future. We all have to talk about what we want to do. But I'd like to get a bronze plaque out there to explain the history a little bit. We have left a one sheet out there explaining the history, and people have taken it. We put it in a little plastic bag. Yeah, and people, the kids used to come and leave candles. But we've kind of said no to that because of being in. But yeah, and we also, I know access is kind of tough, and Monica knows that also. So we have plans to kind of do something on the right side of the grotto, which is now just a hill, dirt hill with roots coming in. So it is difficult to get there, but we have plans, and also we want to make it ADA compliant, some kind of ramp where you can get there in a wheelchair or a bicycle. So that's future plans, maybe year and a half, 2 years down the road. Yeah.
A very generous benefactor.
Yeah.
That I'd like to see it,
Maybe in this room.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, it could be. We actually thought that it would take us 2 years to get the graffiti off. We just started this in April, and really for a couple of months we took off. It's been a process. It's been difficult at times. We've used different solutions, and the latest one is to put a stripper on there and put saran wrap over top of it, leave it on for a day, and come back with the power washer, and it just took all of the difficult spots out.
That was gonna be my question about special advice.
Excuse me?
You haven't went and taken that bad, make it work. You had somebody tell you how to do things.
Nope. Done it on our own, trial and error. And most of the stones are in there pretty solid. So we haven't lost much. We have to repair the base of it. That has blue tile now, but there's a lot missing. So that's one of the steps. We have to figure out what we want to do. I want to take the tile up and just leave it concrete and put a topping over it. But we have to get our board to agree, Patrick and I. Yes, sir. Excuse me? Yes, it's all mortared in. There's, it wasn't kept up. That's the problem. So once we get it all cleaned up, every year we're going to put a coating of protection on it. Just power wash it on, different kind of sprays that you can do. The back of it is actually cement, kind of like, right? But the front of it is all stone. That's really beautiful. It really is. Anything else? Yes.
I assume at one time it was consecrated and then these was consecrated again.
The question was, the altar was consecrated at one time, and it was. I don't believe we'll be able to consecrate it again because it's public land. And that's why we're allowing a lot of different community members to use it for different reasons. I'm assuming mass can be celebrated there. If my wife is saying no.
No, yeah.
We'll check into that. But Father Parker, if you know Father Parker, he did the Divine Mercy Chapel there. So, but we're not pushing it as a Catholic shrine, because it is really, but it's not now. Yes.
It doesn't have to be consecrated. It's about priest in the military. It's the priest who's the servant, not the space. The baby out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would tend to agree with you. But you also know that there's going to be somebody who's going to complain if we do it like every Sunday. So, and you'll see a little tidbit there in the notes that the seminary was kind of really separate from the town of Geneva. They didn't interact a lot, but some people started to come there for Sunday Mass instead of going to St. Peter's Parish. And as Father Kennedy pointed out last week, the pastor didn't like that because he was losing collection money. So he spoke to the parishioners about that. So that was really interesting. And also, I think it's 2 of the priests and 4 of the brothers that were there were firemen in Geneva. Father Kennedy was. So, yep. So.
Well, we were available because when the electrons went off, everybody was at work. And the 4 brothers especially, they go faster than anything.
Yep.
One time I was saying Sunday Mass, the electrons went off, they waved to me on the way out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some fun stories.
Fire station right down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Ken was there from what, 68 to 72. And he told me that it was old school. And they listened to any records that you had, musical records, before you could listen to them. And they also went through your mail. And they would throw you out if you had a bad attitude.
And
So,
we could not leave the property.
Yeah.
If we left the property, we were probably going to get sent home. It was very strict.
yeah.
There was a drive-in right across the street. I forget what it was called. Roberts. And they played this rock and roll every night. And we were up in the dormitory on the 3rd floor with windows open, listening to it. Couldn't go home.
Probably a little bit of Elvis Presley at the time, right?
The students didn't go down to the ground for parade. They smoked cigarettes.
Some of
And actually, the people online, there's a 2-page history of it. And if you want to somehow, I guess, get your emails to Terry, I'd be happy to send it to you, email it to you.
You have a question via Zoom.
Okay. How is the rest of the path and where does it end? Near the buildings. Over the years, the path has really eroded. You can still see some signs of it. There was a couple of them because there's a hill that goes up to the seminary. I guess we could recreate those if people were interested in by just taking some of the brush away. The path in front actually runs from the front of the Kane County Center near the war memorial all the way to the river. And in some places that's gotten very narrow. So we have to look at that too, to see how to build that up, because we certainly don't want people to get hurt doing that. So, yeah, I'd love to. If you were there years ago and you followed the path, there were iron, what do you want to call it? Posts, I-beams that were there with the different stations of the cross. So you could walk and say the stations of the cross. The iron beams are still there, but of course the stations of the cross.
I
Yeah.
can give a little bit of an update on that too. The Forest Preserve's working with King County Water Resources right now. The land is owned by, the majority of the creek is owned by the county. And then we own the portion that's by the Grotto Creek. And then as the erosion is taking place, it's kind of thinning up that pathway, like you were saying. So we're hoping that by working with the county stormwater management, we can do a project in there whereby we do a little rerouting of the creek and create a little bit of a bigger of a buffer so that we can stabilize that landform and then look at what your group wants to do with any type of a trail leading down there. So that's in the works. So as soon as I get some more information from the county, I can let you know about stabilizing that creek area.
That's great news. I mean, that just shows you how the Forest Preserve and the Knights have been working together on this.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been in Geneva for many years and it always kind of heard about this grotto. It's finally a few years ago. My husband and I found the path and walked back there and thought, wow, something should be done with this, but we thought, yeah.
You
But
thought.
it was really interesting and in the path and all the wild flowers, really interesting. Another interesting thing is my mother used to work for the seminary. It must have been, I thought it was in the 70s, but it must have been right prior to 72 when it closed. With the brother, she worked with the brothers in the office. And she was really reluctant to do that, being a Lutheran, should I be working for this.
One of those others.
But she loved it when the brothers were out for lunch. So.
Yeah. One of the reasons the seminary was sold, and Father just shared this with me last week, the enrollment was really down, so they were closing it. When you were a senior there in high school, you took some classes at Mount St. Mary's in St. Charles with the girls. And by near the end, I think all classes were at Mount St. Mary's. And the main reason why it was sold, and it's very interesting, the county bought it for a little over $1 million. The price is actually in the sheet there. And the federal government was making a one-time offer, I guess, to all clerical or
Missionary, well, not to the priests that work in parishes, but to the religious orders and the nuns.
okay, that they could join Social Security as long as they paid their back taxes. So they used that $1 million to pay into the Social Security fund. And now it turned out to be an excellent decision because I don't want to break any news, but you're collecting Social Security. I guess you're 62 at least.
But the sad that many groups of nuns chose not, and now they're all old and retired and in financial difficulty.
Anything else you want to share, Father?
It was a greenhouse existence. I was there from 55 to 59. As I said, we never mixed with the Geneva community. We could go home for 2 weeks at Christmas. Most of us were from Pennsylvania, Ohio. Very few people like Kenny are from Illinois. When we built the gym, that changed our lives, which is no longer a gym. But that big building on the left, when you drive in, was our gymnasium, recreation rooms, and that certainly changed the caliber of our lives. But it was a great way to grow up, even though we were so sheltered. We were dominated by our German tradition place was founded by Germans. That's why the Grotto is still standing. When the Germans built something, it lasts a long time. And the German brothers, in their spare time, were really the ones who did all the work, the manual labor. We studied crazy things like 5 years of Latin, 4 years of German, 3 years of Greek. I only had, once I got into my senior year, there were only 5 of us in my class. So you go to class with 5 people, it's tough to fall asleep. We did get a great education. And we went from here to a 7-year seminary in Ohio. And our big thing was foreign missions. Our big thing in those days was that after World War II, our mission was in Papua New Guinea, north of Australia. So that was the whole goal coming to Geneva, was to be a missionary. In the 60s, when did we go to Colombia, South America? 68. 68, we started sending guys to Colombia. So it was, we had a great time. It was a greenhouse existence. It certainly couldn't exist in the world today. High school students need to be in normal situations, co-ed with their families. That's so important. And I think we finally realized that. In the night from 68 to 72, I was one of the recruiters of students. And there was an interesting shift of parents who were inviting me to come visit their families so their sons could come to the seminary. And more I discovered that they were going to get kicked out of high school. They were discipline problems. You go to the seminary and they'll straighten you out, Buster. And it just kind of, then Vietnam came. And that certainly changed everything.
Can you share a little bit about the order today, the number of people, and where you're at?
The order today, there are about 1,600 of us throughout the world. We're in 50 countries. Our headquarters, of course, is in Rome. The American part of our operation, the most we ever had, probably 100, 130, 40 priests and brothers. Now we're down to 40. We're all old, and most of us are retired. We used to staff St. Teresa's Parish in Aurora with one of our priests from Columbia. We used to staff parish on the south side of Chicago with another one of our priests from Columbia. Right now, I'm the only one left in Illinois at the headquarters because I'm the boss. And I can't find anybody good to live with. But our retirement home is a very beautiful place in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area, Pennsylvania Mountains. We staff 5 parishes in the Allentown area. We have a community up in Watertown, New York, north of Syracuse, worst location in the nation. And we have about a dozen guys in Southern California, 3 of which are in Palm Springs. That's our modern day mission, except that it's 150 every day out there. So we're in our twilight years, I would say. We're getting ready when there's just going to be fewer and fewer of us. We're downsizing. That's the word I'm looking for.
I was downsized once in the 90s. It's not fun. Okay.
This one here, let me turn back around to you. I'm gonna make everybody at home dizzy.
I love the secrecy. Is there a way to maintain the quietness and solitude of the beautiful space? At least keep that in mind, please. And that is also one of our concerns and what we are working on. While we have some groups, there's no more than 30 at a time. And there's probably only been 5 or 6 events there since April when we're doing it. So it is very, very quiet, and especially this time of the year and in the summer with the trees. And you can hear the creek. So that's one of the things we're going to do. We certainly will do that. But we do want to make it open up to the community and let them know it's there. There's so many people that don't know it's even there. And our Facebook page has grown in April from less than 5 to 938 as of this morning. 939.
She also asked, the same person asked this question, I believe it was to Father. What is a greenhouse existence?
Very sheltered.
Hopefully they heard that. I'm not going to say it before.
They almost could live by themselves. They grew everything. That's what you mean, right?
Well,
In the early
we
years.
just had so little contact. We did not have TV in those days, but there was Shakespeare on TV, bring in television, watch it. We just never got to go to the community. It was just, you were in a seminary to study, and that's what it was all about.
Ken, do you have anything to share as a student?
He was there too, so pretty much the same thing mine. Or we went from all the 5, so it wasn't as strict. But the most time they ever gave was an hour and a half to get in there. Otherwise, the day was strict. We went to school on Wednesday and Saturday morning.
Ken did share with me that they had a basketball team, though it was never any good, according to him. And they played the local CYO team because they didn't have enough, I guess, guys to play high school, and they weren't, out in the public area. So
Plus, there were other seminaries. Maryknoll had a seminary in Glen Ellen. The Franciscans were in West Chicago. The Servites had a seminary somewhere. Technically, the Divine Word Missionary place up there. So we did have some inter-seminary sports.
yes,
I just want to compliment you guys on your Facebook site. I just joined, and within the first day it was in, all this information came flying in. I was losing point. But it's really good information, and is that most people would get their information in regards to helping, either financially or work-wise, is through the
Yes.
Facebook page.
thank you. It is on the website or Facebook page the Knights of Columbus are acting as the resource financially for us. You can go right onto their website, kc2191.org, and make a donation. And as far as working goes, we do announce it on the Facebook page when we're working. It's been almost always Saturdays from about 10 to 1. And there's one person I forgot to thank, and has been a huge help in that he's supplying the water hose for us from his house that's on 31. We take it down through the pool house, through the fence, across the creek, and that's Tom Simonian. He has done a tremendous job for us in doing that and letting us do that. And actually, the hose was laying in the creek, I think, for 6 weeks straight there, and we just had to go up and turn it on. But yes, it's usually Saturdays. Now, what we're probably going to be doing as the fall comes is looking into restoring those gaps. And, insulation wise, concrete wise, and then maybe if Joe has a chance to actually put some stones and stuff in there. And the next big project that we have, or we hope to have, are putting steps and a ramp on the right-hand side. And we've had minor discussions with the Forest Preserve on doing that. We have to follow some rules, ADA rules, and also get approval from the Forest Preserve. And they have some workers and stuff that do all of that kind of stuff in the other parks.
What about people who don't have Facebook? What do they find out? What?
Brenda Shorey has written an article in the Kane County Chronicle about us a while ago. And then she's going to write another article once we start restoring it. That's a good question. That's really a good question if you're not on Facebook.
I have an email list with these 7 names and email addresses, and I can start that up again. Send me or Bob an email. I'll add to my Grotto.
And I'll even give you my email address. It's Bob McQuillan, McQuillan @sbcglobal.net. So I'd love to talk to anybody. And like I said, if you would like the 2-page handout that I gave and the donation sheet, I'll be happy to email that to you.
Oh,
Well,
you're good, Bob. Thank you very much.
We're coming up on 1 o'clock. So again, thank you very much for attending either in person or by video. And please come out to the grotto.
Thank you, everybody.